Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday. Today's Thursday, April 16th, 2020. We are going to be continuing talking about context clues. I know that they can be a little tricky and sometimes it can be a little confusing, so we're going to make sure we get enough practice in. That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, we've been working on focus goals on becoming an active learner. We worked on listening so that we can learn, asking questions when we don't understand something, thinking about what we're learning instead of just listening. We want to make sure we're constantly thinking about what someone is talking about. And today we're going to challenge ourselves to do more. I know that you guys are getting guided practices so you can get some additional work and practice. And I know that that takes up extra time, but we're going to challenge ourselves to make sure that we're completing our work every single day. Every single item of work that your teachers prepare for you, we do it with a purpose behind it. We want you to continue to have practice and we want you to continue to grow your brain. So we're challenging you to do more by making sure you're completing every single piece of work that we assign for you. Get it? Got it? If you think that you can finish all of your work this week, give me a silent thumbs up. I know you can too. All right. Let's check in with ourselves, see how we're feeling. Let me X out so you can see everything. I know today I'm feeling a little curious. I'm wondering how my friends are going to do on their exit ticket. So far, friends have been doing so well on their exit ticket, so I'm really excited, kind of curious to see how friends are going to do today. Give yourself about 5 seconds to see how you're feeling. Remember, if you're feeling a little upset, or maybe you're feeling a little down or anxious or worried, no big deal. If you feel like you need to take a break, you can pause the video and come back to it. We want to make sure that you're ready to learn. And if you're worried or anxious about something, then it makes it really hard to focus, all right? So if you think you're ready to get started, let's get going. Our daily objectives have not changed. We're still working on our spelling, we're still doing our vocab, and we're still going to be working on context clues. All right. Now we've been doing sight word basketball. Now that you should be familiar with our sight words, instead of us doing sight word basketball, you're going to pause the video after I'm done talking. You're going to pause the video and you're going to write your sight words 5 times. How many times? 5 times. You're going to write down your sight words 5 times, practice spelling it. So pause the video and go ahead and do that. When you're done, you can resume it. All right. Now that you've written all of your sight words down, let's go over our vocabulary. Now, yesterday I took away the definition, and I'm going to keep those definitions away. But before we get started on our activity, let's just go ahead and review. Take a few seconds to think about what every single word means, and then I'm going to give you the answer in just a little bit. So pause the video, think about what classify, discovered, process, and predict mean. Did you pause the video and go over it? All right, if you did, let's go over it. Classify, to sort things into groups. So just like in our picture, the girl is sorting things by color. Discover, that means to find or to locate something. Process, those are the steps you take to complete a task. Predict, that's an educated guess. So a guess that you're making based off of something you already know. All right, now for our activity today, we're going to match the word to the synonym. Remember, synonyms, they mean the same. Synonyms, they mean they're words that mean the same as another word. So I'm going to do one and show you what I mean. So I see classify. What is a word on this side that could also mean classify? I know that classify means to sort things into groups. Could it be locate? No, I think locate means that you find something. Could it be categorize? If you're categorizing something, that means you are putting it into groups. That could be classify. Let's go over our other ones just to make sure. Could it mean guess? No, classify means to sort something and it's not about guesses. Does it mean actions or steps? No, it must be to categorize. So I'm going to draw my line and match it up with categorize. Pause the video and match up the rest of the words with the synonyms on the right-hand side of the screen. When you're done, go ahead and play the video so you can go over your answers. All right, let's get started. If you've already done it, let's get started. So I know that predict means like you're making an educated guess. Which one of these options over here is a synonym for predict? Yeah, it's guess. We know that predict is the same thing as guessing. So I'm going to draw my line. Let's do our next one. Whoops. Process. I know that process is the steps that you take to complete an action. So actions or steps. So I know that that would go with actions or steps. It means the same thing. And I know discovered means to find or to locate something. So I'm going to draw my line over to locate. Freeze. What is a synonym again? Yeah, it's words that mean the same. Synonyms, they mean the same. Synonyms, they mean the Great. Let's go ahead and get into our lesson about context clues. Now, we know that context clues are clues that good readers use to find the meaning of unknown words. We know that you can use pictures, helping words like or, like, are, called. You could use words that you already know to help you figure out what an unknown word means. The sentence or the passage might give you an example, or it might flat out say the definition, or like we just covered right now, it might cover synonyms, or they might have antonyms in the sentence or the passage, so you want to make sure you're paying attention to what you're reading. Let's go over some examples together. You must never explore a cave by yourself. It is essential for you to go with at least one other person. Let's see. What does the word essential mean? A, not important, B, very important, or C, acceptable? Well, what is the sentence trying to tell me? It says that I should never explore a cave by myself. It is essential for you to go with at least one person. So would it make sense if I put in A, it is not important for you to go with at least one person? No, that doesn't make any sense. They're telling me that I should never go by myself. So A doesn't make any sense to say that it's not important for you to go with at least one person. So I know that A is not right. You must never explore a cave by yourself. It is very important for you to go with one other person. Does that make sense? That does make sense. I think that could be my answer, but should I stop there? Say, oh no. You have to check all of your answers, right? Let's try the last one, C. You must never explore a cave by yourself. It is acceptable for you to go with at least one other person. That doesn't sound as good as very important to me. I don't think it makes sense to put acceptable, but I do think it makes sense to put very important. So I know that my answer must be very important. What strategy did I just use to figure out what the word essential means? Yeah, I put in every single option for the word essential. Instead of using the word essential, I used the options that I was given, and I asked myself what makes the most sense. Let's keep going with our practice. Now, you're going to practice these two on your own. I want you to pause the video, practice these two on your own, and then we're going to go over the answers. When you're done, you're going to resume the video by pressing play. Ready to go? All right, I hope that you paused and practiced on your own. If you didn't, you need to pause right now. All right, it says everyone had a good time at the picnic. The games were fun and the food was plentiful. In fact, there was so much food they had to take some home. What does the word plentiful mean? A, enough, B, yummy, or C, more than enough? Well, why don't we go ahead and use our strategy of plugging in the options for the word plentiful? Everyone had a good time at the picnic. The games were fun and the food was enough. In fact, there was so much food they had to take some home. Does it make sense to say the food was enough? Well, if they had to take some home, if you have just enough, then no one should be taking any home. That means that everyone should have gotten what they needed and there should have been none left in my mind. So I don't think that that makes any sense. Everyone had a good time at the picnic. The games were fun and the food was yummy. In fact, there was so much food they had to take some home. Now that definitely sounds right. They're saying the food is yummy. That makes sense to me. But does that tell me why people had to take some home? Maybe, maybe not. Let's look at our last option. Make sure that we pick the best option, because B is looking pretty good to me, but maybe not. Everyone had a good time at the picnic. The games were fun and the food was more than enough. In fact, there was so much food they had to take some home. Which one makes more sense? B or C? On the count of three, I want you to shout it out. 3, 2, 1. C. Yes, I think that plentiful must mean more than enough. They're saying that there was so much food that they had to take some home, so it makes sense for plentiful to mean more than enough. There was more than enough food for people to take some home. If you got it right, give yourself a pat on the back. Let's go over the second one. Miss Weldon used vivid colors in the painting, which made it stand out in the dark room. What does vivid mean? A, bright, C, tinted, B, tinted, C, dull. Now, we're going to use our strategy of plugging in our words, all right? Miss Weldon used bright colors in the painting, which made it stand out in the dark room. Well, that makes sense to me. If she used bright colors, they probably did stand out in a dark room. That's definitely one that I'm thinking it could be. But I know as a good reader, I always practice using all of my options to make sure I pick the best answer. Miss Weldon used tinted colors in the painting, which made it stand out in the dark room. I don't think tinted makes the most sense. Tinted, think of like a car. When you've tinted your car or you've darkened the windows on the car, that doesn't make sense. How can it stand out in a dark room if something's tinted or dark? Let's keep going. Miss Weldon used dull colors in the painting, which made it stand out in a dark room. Well, I know if something's dull and not shiny or bright, then it's probably not going to stand out. So on the count of 3, which option makes the most sense? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, A, bright. If we know that something's standing out, that means it's probably bright or vivid. We know that vivid and bright mean the same thing. They're synonyms of each other. Remember, words that mean the same. All right, friends. So what are context clues again? Yeah, context clues are clues that good readers use to figure out the meaning of an unknown word. And we talked about strategies before where you can use examples or definitions, kind of like in some of our examples, they gave the definition of one of the words. You can use the pictures. You can make sure that you're plugging in your options for the word that you don't know, seeing what makes the most sense. And you want to make sure you're trying all of your options as well. It's not good enough just to try the first or the second one and think that it's right. You want to make sure you're trying all of them so you can pick out the best possible answer. Because I remember with this one up here, it seemed like yummy could fit because it sounded right? But if we hadn't checked for C, we would have gotten it wrong. Just because something sounds right, it has to make sense too in your sentence, all right? So now that we are done with our lesson, it's now time for you to do your guided practice. Remember, our goal is that we're challenging ourselves. So even though you think you have it down already, or even though you might feel really confident about doing context clues, you want to make sure that you practice, all right? Once you're done with it, you're going to go ahead, take your exit ticket, which is 4th grade, and then log into Lexia or pick a book. Remember, next week I'm going to ask you what books you've been reading. So I want to hear friends. I want to make sure that friends are reading, so you can write something in the comments and tell me what books you've been reading. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good Thursday.